Wallace, Daniel Radcliffe, is a person who has a hopeless work and lives with his sister Ellie, Jemima Rooper, and nephew Felix, Lucius Oyos. He exited clinical school subsequent to becoming mindful of his sweetheart having an unsanctioned romance with his life systems educator and chose to not be social over the most recent 2 years. He is constrained by Alan, Adam Driver, into showing up for a party where he rapidly gets exhausted and starts to entertain himself by orchestrating cooler magnets bearing single words into phrases. While playing, he is joined by Chantry, Zoe Kazan, and the two fall into discussion. Simultaneously, Alan meets Nicole, Mackenzie Davis, and they start playing with one another. Chantry and Wallace leave the party, and he strolls her home where he figures out that Chantry has a beau. All things being equal, she gives him her telephone number, however he rules against seeking after going out with her. He before long alters his perspective on this when they run into one another in a cinema, where they had both gone alone, and wind up eating together. After some time, the kinship develops and Wallace is welcome to meet Ben, Rafe Spall, Chantry's prolonged stretch of time sweetheart, who works for the assembled countries. Ben, nonetheless, winds up in clinic because of a progression of startling mishaps when Wallace visits their home. Interestingly, where Wallace and Chantry run into Wallace's ex, Ben later moves to Dublin, Ireland for quite some time because of prerequisites of his work. During this time, Wallace and Chantry start to see their relationship grow further, and they start to have further affections for one another. Dahlia, Megan Park, Chantry's sister, attempts to hit on Wallace in her vehicle, however he can't respond, in light of the fact that he is concerned that it would demolish any opportunity he would have with Chantry. From that point on, Dahlia just talks adversely of Wallace to Chantry. Alan and Nicole get hitched and later welcome Wallace and Chantry to have a stroll on the ocean front around evening time. They choose to go thin plunging, and soon Wallace and Chantry choose to go along with them, whereupon Alan and Nicole take their garments, driving them to rest bare together near the ocean. Notwithstanding, they feel constrained into the cozy circumstance and hesitantly choose just to share the camping cot. The following day they leave the ocean side irately. Chantry is called from her responsibility to go to an advancement to coordinate an energized project in Taiwan. Anyway, she feels forced in light of her stressed relationship with Ben, so she goes to Dublin to go along with him. On showing up, she finds that Ben has acknowledged more work responsibilities that expect him to travel as often as possible, and they choose to sever the relationship. In the meantime, Wallace chooses to follow Chantry. After showing up, Ben hits him directly upside the head, thumping him down the front steps. He then really takes a look at his phone message, discovering that she has gotten back to Toronto. They rejoin, however soon Chantry finds out about Wallace's excursion and his affections for her, which she answers very negatively to. Wallace thinks about returning to clinical school and continuing on with his personal business, but he chooses to go to Chantry's goodbye party, and they have a sad farewell. They at long last own up to their shared sentiments while giving each other a Blockhead's Gold sandwich, something they had recently examined while hanging out together. The story resumes year and a half later. It is uncovered that Wallace has moved to Taiwan with Chantry to start a relationship with her and to finish his clinical preparation there. After getting back to Toronto, they are hitched.